Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Blessed that wife, now the last 29 years, and we've been good friends all this time. My brother Peterson, I lack words. It's very, very humbling to be in this setup this morning, and especially when I reflect on the good journey that God allowed us to get into exactly 21 years ago. I bless the Lord for such a relationship that has been very, very impactful. We've walked a good journey together, and I'm very, very, very happy that God gave me this chance to serve you. And I'm also delighted to see you achieving enough of your financial dreams. Church, we are here to discuss money matters, and I want to refer to the Bible to see what is the Bible telling us about financial planning. And I just want to bring to your attention what the Bible is telling us about financial planning. One, that God is the source. It is not your wisdom, it is not your tribe, it is not your age, it is not about the things that you want to think about, but it's about God. At the beginning of the journey that we are going to have, God. In the middle of the decisions and journey that you're going to have, God. God is not going to be your omega if was not the alpha. Church, are we together? Let me see what else the Bible is saying about financial planning. Give fast. Give fast. What does that mean? Whatever resources that you make, God has to come first. God does not take remains. You know, in our normal setups, in the comfort of the many goals that we have, when people make money, when salaries are paid, we always start with ourselves. You pay your bills, you pay your employees, you pay for food, you pay for utilities and everything. It is what remains that we want to channel to God. Bible is telling us clearly, you have to give God first. And I'm not the one who wrote the Bible. Second thing I want to also mention here is that keep out of debt. Keep out of debt. Debts are very, very burdening. And when you are only surrounded by debts, even to be able to serve God becomes a problem. Anyone that may have had an encounter with an auctioneer yesterday will most likely not be in church this morning. If you had an encounter with an auctioneer yesterday, chances are high that you're not going to be in this church this morning. And if you will, you might not be able to participate fully in the works of God. Let me also see what else the Bible says before I can go to my presentation. That you got to be contented with what God has given you. You know, a lot of times we want to look at what God has given others. We put more attention to what God has given others rather than what He has given us. Can you start being contented with what God has given you? The Bible is also telling us to keep records. The Bible is also telling us to keep records. Have a budget. When you have money, have a budget. What are those things that I want to do? If you've given God first, what are the other things I want to do? If there are abilities that you have to pay for, if there's a car loan, there's a mortgage, there's a circle loan, please have a record. God is also talking about working hard. You're not going to be blessed with all the resources if you're not working hard. Now, I move out of the Bible and go to the presentation. And as a financial consultant, I serve two organizations. I serve one organization called the Old Mutual Group, an organization that I've served now for the last 27 years. And the second organization that I serve is called the ABSA Life Assurance Company. These are two organizations that I serve in terms of consultancy. I talk to the general public, retail space, as well as corporate on matters of investment. And I want to tell you this morning that what financial planning is all about. All of us have got goals. These goals may be clustered into three. We got what we call the short-term goals, we got what we call the medium-term goals, and we got what is called long-term goals. When I met with Mr. Jiro the first time, he was not having gray hair. Don't think that he was born looking this way. Even me, I have gray hair, but I was not born that way. 20 years back, I didn't have gray hair. The truth is, every single day when you wake up, you are getting closer to your retirement. In terms of money management, in the short-term space, what are those financial goals that you have to do in the next 4 years, maximum? If an emergency comes your way, how do you do that emergency? Do you start calling friends? Do you start calling relatives? Do you start calling reverend? Do you call the church members to assist you when there's an emergency? You need to be a good steward of the resources that God has given you. Allocate a small chunk of your resources to go into building an emergency fund. I'll be talking about shortly later. Then in the medium-term space, or which is called the medium-term goals, most of the people have got families. God has blessed us with children. There are goals that we have got to do for ourselves and our children by the age of 50 or around that. Whether it is educating these children, whether it's buying or building for them a house, whether it's taking them on a good international holiday, there are goals that come in by the age of 50. And then in the long term, we've got retirement goals. The greatest challenge that we have in our country today is that we are major spenders. So people go through this journey all the way to the finish line. And when you retire, and you retire without good savings, you start relying on your children. It is such a torture at a time like this if you have retired without adequate plans for retirement, and then you resort to borrowing from your children. These children also have their own goals. You are making it difficult for your children to achieve their own individual and family goals because they are directing all that they have to taking care of you. And that is the reason why taking very good financial responsibility at this juncture in your life will be critical. You do not want to be the reason why your son didn't buy a house. You don't want to be the reason why your daughter could not take her child to a good school. And because they directed all their money, all their savings into taking care of you. It can be very burdening. Very, very, very burdening. When God gives you financial resources, these resources are divided into two. The first part of the resources is what we call the bread. The first part of the resources is what we call the bread. The purpose of bread is to be able to take care of your today's situation, tomorrow's situation, so that you can have energy to be able to make more. The other aspect is what we call the seed. The purpose of seed is not to use it now. It is to plant it to give you more in the future. Now, let me tell you where the challenge comes in. A lot of the people in our society will eat both the bread and the seed. Now, when you eat bread and seed, and then you say that I'm waiting upon the Lord. Really, when you have messed your situation, that is not when you want to invite God to be in your situation. Bread is meant for your today's needs, so you don't plant it. Don't plant your bread. The moment you plant bread, you've wasted it. Seed is meant for your future needs, so the moment you eat it, you have wasted it. This is now why you say that financial planning requires a bit of financial intelligence. Now, in your financial roadmap, there are three particular pillars that are also very, very important. The first pillar is to know how to make money. How do I make money? For you to start making money, you must start by positioning a mindset that is positive. And I tell you the reason why some people, even money runs away from them, is because they are too negative from the word God. When you're too negative, even money runs away from you. Money like also a conducive environment. Positivity. There's the reason why people get so broke. God didn't make us to be broke. God did not have a desire for people to be broke. So when you see money running away from you, you got to reflect on yourself. What is wrong with me? The other thing is that you got to look at your income streams. Biblically, how many streams are we told about? How many streams of income is the present person have? 7 or 8? 7 or 8? I think the Bible talks about 7 streams. You cannot just rely on one. That in case of a disruption on the particular core income source, that you then be disrupted entirely. The Bible talks about several streams of income. You want to have to be able to engage and learn about other sources of income that could also help you to grow your portfolio. The other one is our spending habit. We've got a problem when it comes to spending. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a problem with that. Spending. You walk to a supermarket with an intention to buy bread and milk, and in minutes you are pulling a trolley. You only wanted to buy bread and milk. But even when you go to the market, we carry money that was not needed for that particular purpose. If you only want to buy bread and milk, and you know you have a problem of spending, why don't you just carry enough? Maybe by carrying 200 shillings or 300 shillings, that is just good enough. But the moment you carry 10,000 shillings and you go to the market with the intention of bread and milk, you still end up buying other things that you never use. Spending habits. So I'm talking about the first step, which is making money. The second step is how do I grow my money? How do I grow my money? You do not grow your money by spending it. You don't grow your money by going on lifestyle expenses. You will grow your money by first managing your debts. Managing your debts. You know, there are times you get too surprised and too shocked to see people who borrow from Kamau to pay Joroge. And then they borrow from Rose to pay Kamau. They borrow from Minor to pay Minor to bring the next person. There are people who are in a secret kind of a debt they are unable to get out. In some situations, we even witness people getting the 10th floor of a building. They start looking around the corner, every corner in the 10th floor of a building, and they're standing somewhere near the window and you're wondering, what is this guy up? The 10th floor of a building, and you are standing next to the window, and you are looking around, and the next minute you hear the guy jump the ground. The minute you get to you're not able to go to money, and you're not making efforts to reduce and cut the expenses that are unnecessary, so that you can focus on clearing the liability. That is something. Manage your debt. Manage your assets. If there are people that you are owing, please don't take your mobile number so that you can run away from them. Pay fast. If there's somebody that you are owing, pay fast. You get freedom. You know what people do here? The minute they owe you, they take your mobile number. The minute you get the new number, they put another one. The guys that keep changing mobile numbers every year. They are having a new number every year. Even where they reach, the guy is in Umoja today, the chief is going to be somewhere else, the smart is going to be somewhere else. They keep running away from other people. At times, by the way, you are spending way much more trying to hide than you could have paid the debt. Do you people agree with me or don't agree? The moment you deal with the liabilities, it is then that you be able to allocate money for savings, and then you can become deliberate enough to move money from the savings account into an investment account. That is how you start growing your portfolio. Then finally, and also very, very importantly, how do you protect your money? How do you protect your money? Let me tell you what is eating most of the old people's money today. Succession. It's a big challenge in our country. People don't see death until it happens. Sad stories have been told that somebody even on the deathbed, 15 minutes to death, you still feel like you are recovering. 15 minutes to death, you feel you are recovering. You don't want to let go. Succession. So what is succession? It is legitimately transferring what you have in terms of the assets to the next generation, whether they are your children, whether they are your grandchildren, or whether it's your spouse. This story is told and it saddened me the other day. This gentleman that got sick and was admitted at MP Shah. And when he was there, I think the bills were running high every day. So at some point, the accountant of the hospital requested the family that, you know what, the medical cover of this guy has been depleted. Now you have to pay from your wallet. The guy was on a 2 million shillings cover. He was there with a son, daughter, and a wife. So what happened now is that the cover that he had taken with an insurance company got depleted. And the family was told, going forward, because you've depleted the cover, you have to pay from your wallet. This guy, on the deathbed, started now thinking, hold on. Are they now trying to say I must give my wife the ATM and the PIN? Is that what they're trying to say now? On the deathbed, this guy is sick. And you can see he died. He's depleted his medical cover. And at the point, the accountant said, you've got to top up your account for us to continue serving you. Immediately, the guy healed a bit to think through. is that I've got to give out my ATM, and not just the ATM, but plus the PIN. Was not using the ATM and the PIN so that money could pay bill for somebody else. It is his own bill. And this is where the Kenyan men have a problem. The Kenyan men have a problem. Letting go some of the information is difficult. As soon as the wife gets to know your PIN number, you report that card as stolen or lost. You want another one. You want another one. This guy, the moment he refused to give the card and the PIN number, what happened is that the facility stopped serving him. And the next sad thing is that he died. So of what benefit, of what value was that? I'm talking about succession planning. I'm talking about succession planning. You would rather appear like you're not a wise man because you are over disclosing to your wife. You'd rather appear not as a wise man because you are over disclosing to your wife. But let me tell you what, that information that you are disclosing to her will actually come to support you at some stage of old age. Should using that same information, and I'm not saying everyone, it is a lady of wisdom and a lady that has been blessed of God. We'll use that information to support you at old age. We'll use that information to support the children. But as long as you keep putting all the boundaries that you never share anything with your wife, everything, all the neighbors know where you are buying rat except your wife. That your wife has to be running from neighbors. It becomes a problem. I'm talking about succession planning. The other thing is, for us to protect our resources, you've got to ensure that you manage risk. So how to manage risk, and what risk is this? There is risk of death, there is risk of disability, there is risk of critical illness, there is risk of inflation. Those are 4 risks that you have to manage. Let me think about death first of all. I'm sure as a church you have witnessed friends, relatives, neighbors, people that you knew very well that were doing very well, driving best of cars, family was doing so well until the breadwinner died. And when the breadwinner died, things took a different direction. Kids that were going to Brook House immediately were taken to public schools. A lovely family car that they had, now even the spouse is not able to fuel it or mechanically maintain it. And things start taking a downward trend. That's a big risk. Talk about critical illness, for example. A friend of mine last year, but one, had the mother admitted at MP Shah. And when she was admitted, this lady was found to have 3 terminal illnesses at the same time. And for the better part of 2022, she was in ICU at MP Shah. The bill, by the time she was getting out of ICU on the 91st day, the bill was 37 million. So you need to ask yourself this morning, if you had a bill of 37 million shillings, do you have the financial capacity to pay? Do your children have the financial capacity to pay? Would you send the bill to Reverend to pay for you? Would you send the bill to Mrs. Reverend to pay for you? Who has that capacity? That is the reason why we transfer some of the risk to an insurance company, that when you are unwell, rather than people selling off the house or the car, that particular insurance package will pay the bills for you. Otherwise, you work so hard, bring up the children, build a retirement home, and then you're going to sell all these things to pay a medical bill. You sell all these things to pay a medical bill. The other one is disability. Disability is a risk. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, last year, but one, a friend of mine went to the family to Mombasa for holiday. It was in December. While the children were in the swimming pool, swimming, the wife was somewhere in the spa, but the guy was reading a magazine out there, or enjoying the sun. Suddenly, he felt some severe headache. It became too much that he was taken to hospital. About 12 hours later, the doctor said the guy had gone blind. Up to this minute, Richard is blind, and he's only 50 years old. If today you lost your sight, how would that affect your financial destiny? Would you still be able to support this church? Would you still be able to support your children? Would you still be able to support those that are depending on you indirectly today? What do you think about disability as a risk? Some of the guys that you have seen on a wheelchair, it is only because they drove their cars badly. Maybe somebody else drove their cars badly. Maybe somebody else caused you a disability. Maybe a disease caused disability. The only thing to do, just take a cover. That when I become disabled, there'll be a 40 million shillings payout. That million shillings payout to support me through the disability phase. If there's death, there'll be a 40 million shillings, 50 million shillings to feed off my wife and children so they can carry on with their journey. That if I get sick, my medical insurance will pay, but should I go beyond the medical cover, then I've got a severe illness cover that will also come in and take care of me. These are the things that we don't prioritize. I know some of you will be wondering, how did Alfred meet Mr. Giro? Mr. Giro was the head of operations in a company called True Foods way back 21 years ago. He was the group head of operations. And in that organization were some two Indian brothers who were his immediate bosses. And every month, I used to go to True Food to pick checks. Every month, I would find myself in True Food picking checks. Every month, I would go there to pick checks. Until this one day, when the managing director told me, Alfred, you also need to meet our group head of operations. Immediately, they called Giro from his office. He came to me. This is our group head of operations. Alfred, this that you've been paying for, this guy tried to talk to him. He has a family. The team also tried to think about some of these programs. That is how we started the journey. Muhindis or Indians will be so careful that when it comes to issues of disability, they have a cover. Issues of death, they have a cover. Issues of critical illness, they have a cover. But you know, as what you normally do, buy another plot, another plot, another plot, another plot. Let me tell you what, ladies and gentlemen. The moment you are critically sick, you will not be able to go to show the bacons. Please get it from me. The moment you get sick, you will not have a chance to go and show the bacon. You know, when you're selling land, I know some of you have bought or sold land. Mr. Giro, I'm sure you have bought or sold. When you are selling land, the buyer will rely on you to show where the bacons are, correct? Now, if this guy has got cancer stage 3, and he's selling this land so that he can go and pay the bills, at what point is he going to show the bacons? At what point? He is most of the time in the hospital. But now he needs to sell off the land so that he can pay the bills in the hospital. So I'm talking to the guys of plots here. Can you start balancing your equation? Not all the money that you have should go into plots. Some of it needs to go into more liquid investments, which you can access. Then the moment you get unwell, you just need to write a letter or an email. And even your son or daughter or your wife can write an email on your behalf from your computer. We would like to withdraw 3 million shillings from Muzee's account to pay into this bank account so that you can pay his bills. You don't need to show bacons there. You don't need to show bacons there. So it was immediately sorted out and you move on. But the problem with most of us is that 98% of our resources are in plots. That's the biggest problem. And I'm not trying to say that you shouldn't have plots, but can you start balancing your equation? Can you start balancing your equation? You need cash. Remember during the COVID time, we still had expenses coming our way. You go to a service station to follow your car, cash. You go to a supermarket to buy stuff for the house, cash. You go to a salon, cash. You go to see a dentist, cash. How many people are taking titles and logbooks? How many people are taking titles of your land? None. No one. You go to hospital, do they even take titles these days? They don't touch titles. They don't. If you go to a hospital today, please have cash. Or you have medical insurance. They don't take titles. So these days, they diplomatically tell you, when you bring a patient who is very critically sick, and the casualty, they very diplomatically approach you. Madam, is it cash or card? They very diplomatically ask you that question. Is it cash or card? The moment you say cash, you are sent to the accountant. The moment you say card, you are sent to this side so they can go and land their card. No one will ask you, is it title or logbook? No one asks. No one asks. Let me tell you people again about retirement planning. Because, as I said, we look at 3 aspects. It is how to make money, how to grow it, and how to protect it. Retirement planning. You are doing the retirement planning. I talked about the succession element, which will also help you cushion and save some of the resources. You know, I'm very, very depressed at times when I read newspapers and hear there's a family that has been in court fighting over succession matters, and this matter has taken 40 years. If you die intestate, dying intestate means dying without a will. dying without a will. That you are letting the state to decide your fate. You are letting the state to decide your fate because you didn't have that a minute or 15 minutes to sit with your lawyer and write a will. Ladies and gentlemen, it is taking 40 years, 30 years, 25 years. I say with a lot of respect, look at Konyange family. When some of you are born, the Konyange family was still in court. They are still not yet out of court. Others have joined in. I've seen Karume people there. I've seen Michuki family there. I've seen many other respected families there. That by the time the court matter is sorted, all the money that the children would have divided has been taken away by the lawyers. Can you imagine? All the money that you are fighting for, by the time the court matter is sorted, lawyers have taken everything. In fact, I am told, lawyers were in the same class. Let me not lie to you. If they say here, please forgive me. Do you know lawyers were in the same class? So this guy is defending this family. This one is defending this other family. These lawyers, they fight at the bench. Later in the evening, they meet over lunch and they ask each other, guy, you want us to finish this matter? Something else comes up again. You hear they have gone back to the starting point. Some of these matters are taking 15 years, 25 years. By the time it's done, my friend, there's nothing for the children. Now, somebody who was born 40 years ago, is that person almost becoming a grandmother or a grandfather now? And they're still waiting to inherit what their father left behind 40 years later. You are now without teeth. When your father died, you had all the teeth. Now you are without teeth, but you are still waiting for the money. Because you, the parent, does not want to write a will. Writing a will needs about 30 minutes. To sit to the lawyer, these are my assets, these are my liabilities, these are my wishes. Let me surprise you today. The Kenyan mortuaries gave out statistics showing 119 bodies are rotting in mortuaries because family members are not able to agree where to bury them. Your father says this, your mother says that, your sibling says this, your wife says this, your friend says this. At the end of the day, the courts have to give space to everyone to come up with their opinion. In the meantime, the body is still rotting in mortuaries. Some of the people that are being buried 3, 4 years later, you want to bury bones. There's no body there. Just burying the remains. Because family members took 3 years, 4 years to agree. Just write a will. Just write a will. And this case is even becoming very tragic for the men, and I'm telling them because they are also here. You know that a man's burial will happen when sword has been returned. You know that a man is going to be buried when sword has been, because any minute it can be stopped. The burial can be stopped at any juncture. I don't know whether I'm speaking to the men. I don't know whether the men are hearing or I've lost you. A man's burial can be stopped anytime because there are other interested parties. A man's burial can be stopped anytime, and it happened. This I didn't even share with my wife. I went quiet. Somebody that my wife knows, but I've not even talked about it. This guy's burial, the passion came to church, but when the coffin was actually now being moved from church to go to the gravesite, why? Lawyer letters from High Court came. An interested party had gone to court, and that burial was stopped. And it was postponed for 4 days. Ladies and gentlemen, let us do wills. Let us write wills. It's a way of protecting our assets. All of us are on a journey. And in as much as we are going to heaven, we also have a journey to retirement. The two are going together. We were born the other day. Today, maybe you are 10 years, maybe you are 15 years, maybe you are 30 years, maybe you are 40 years, maybe 50 years, whatever age. Do not let age change the way you are aging. Look at Patterson. If you're told that me and Patterson are just touching 60, you'll doubt it. Because the guy looks physically healthy and everything. Don't let age change the way you are aging. The other point I want to tell you is that the problem with the future, all of us have a future. Maybe the next 1 year, the next 2 years, the next 3 years. There's one problem with the future. It comes too fast. Future is coming too fast. Future is coming too fast. Because as I said, it was 21 years ago when I met Mr. Patterson. This is now 21 years later. The future has come rather too fast. In your normal course, there are two things that you consider. There is what you call the money, and you've got what you call the time. And I want to hear you guys to hear this. There is the money and there's the time. Those of you that are being paid salaries every month, have you discovered that there's always too much time left at the expiry of money? don't know whether that makes sense. Those of us that are relying on salaries every month, have you discovered that there's always too much time left at the expiry of the money? You are normally paid on the 30th, but on the 20th you are without money. The money has ended, but there's still another 10 days left. There's always too much time left at the expiry of money. True or not true for most of the people? Is that true? Can you start planning? Let me also say something else. A lot of us are looking back too much. Rather than focus on what is ahead of you, you are only complaining about what happened last year, but one, even as you are still busy talking about COVID. There are people who refuse to pay your debt, and the only thing they tell you is COVID. Everything that you ask them is COVID. Everything you're asking them, it is COVID. There is no future in the past. When it comes to money matters, there is no future in the past. Talking, I remembered something. When they still gave me their